Real Estate with Jess and Brandon. And today we're talking about buying and selling at the same time because it gets complicated. It's a whole different situation. So, first step when you're buying and selling at the same time, again, you want to know what your house is worth. So, find a realtor, get a home evaluation, get a pre-approval, and speak with your mortgage agent about what you can get a pre-approval for based on what you're expecting your house to sell for. But keep in mind, if your house doesn't sell for that amount, it may adjust or will adjust your pre-approval.
Yeah, I would say in terms of like if you already own a house, the biggest things to know is like when you're offering on a house, if you need the money from your house to close on the next house, then you're going to have what's called like a sale of buyer's property condition in your offer when you're buying, which just means that there's a way for you to be able to back out of that house you're buying if you can't get your house that you own right now sold by a certain time and date. And that time and date is kind of a long time out from now. Like if I bought your house today and I'm like, oh, I got a house to sell, I'm not like, give me a week. I'm like, give me 5 weeks. And because you're giving me so much time, you're like, nah, I don't really like that. So it comes with what's called an escape clause, which just means that you can take offers from someone else this whole 5 weeks. If you accept one, meaning it's better than my offer, I would assume, then I have 2 days to remove all my conditions or not. If I don't, I lose the house. That other person gets it now. So I get what's called getting bumped, or I get to keep the house. But if I haven't finished selling my house or my financing, it's kind of risky. So just know that when you own a house, if you're submitting offers with that condition on the sale of your house, that always comes with the escape clause, and therefore you could always get bumped. Doesn't happen majority of the time, but I have had it happen. So it can kind of suck because if you submit your deposit, do your financing, do your home inspection, spend $450 on that, and then all of a sudden you get your house up for sale, do all the marketing and photography, cleaning, home inspection, all in that. Then a week later you're getting bumped. It kind of sucks, right?
So, I mean, you could put in an offer conditional on your house selling without that escape clause, but the seller is highly unlikely they're going to take that.
No.
They want to still offer their house for sale to other people. So, yeah, what you want to note is when you're putting in an offer conditional on your house selling, there's most likely going to be an escape clause in the offer that allows the seller to still take other offers from other people, but giving you the opportunity to firm up first on the purchase, which can be risky because if your house isn't sold, if you haven't done your inspections or whatever it is you're doing on the house you're buying and you firm up, then obviously that's risky if your house doesn't sell or if it doesn't sell for what you need to be able to close on your purchase. And just in general, any offer that's conditional on a house selling, it automatically kind of makes the buyer's offer weaker, right? Because not only does the seller now have to worry about selling their own house, they now have to worry about your house too. However, people obviously buy and sell all the time, so it is normal. It's just you really have to strategize a certain way to make your offer look desirable to that seller. And when you're putting in an offer and you're making it conditional on the sale of your house, the listing agent representing the seller is probably going to ask, like, what's it going to be listed at? They want to make sure you're listing your house at an appropriate price. When is it being listed? If it's not going to be listed for a few weeks, they're probably going to say, come back when your house is actually on the market, right? So you want to make sure that you have everything organized with your realtor. So when your realtor brings that information to the listing agent, it's clear and the listing agent wants and their seller want to accept your offer.
Yeah. I always say like to a buyer when they're putting offers in, there's kind of like 3 tiers of offers. First would be firm offer, all cash, like no mortgage, or subset of that a little bit lower would be like still a firm offer, but you need a mortgage, but you don't have a condition in the offer because it's firm. So that's the highest, right? And then the second would be, oh, I need condition on financing, home insurance, home inspection. Usually it's only a week long, so it's not the end of the world, totally normal. Plus you need conditions to protect yourself in a contract. So it's definitely advisable and smart to have a home inspection, all those things. So not saying not to do it. And then you have third category, the lowest, which is all those, but you also have a house to sell, because that one now is like 4 to 6 weeks out. So like you're saying, it weakens your offer because it puts you in that third tier. So doesn't mean like you're saying, like you kind of said, like totally normal, nothing to worry about. True, it's totally normal. And you can buy a house with we call it SOBP, sale of buyer's property.
I just don't want to scare people and make them think if you have a house to sell, you can't buy another house.
No, you totally can.
Yeah.
It just weakens your offer, weakens it in the sense of negotiating. So then just be aware of that. So that way when you're offering, you know how to maybe like offset it by maybe going a little higher in price than you otherwise could, or would have with the condition, or offering a closing date that is more what the seller wants if you're able to. But that's the other thing to consider too, is if you have a house to sell, the closing date you're going to put in your offer is probably going to be longer. So old houses that are vacant or where a homeowner is wanting a quick closing might be really unrealistic or hard for you to accommodate. So that could just throw all those houses out of the search for you, which can narrow it down. So weakens your offer, can't probably close too quick. So buy vacant homes could be challenging. So things just to consider when you own a house is that if you're going to buy first, this is what applies to you, that condition. If you're going to sell first, then if your house is sold firm, you don't need to worry about that condition now. And then in which case, you're not in that position. You're a little bit better in terms of where your offer is. And some people just can't do that because
they'd have nowhere to go,
they
right?
have nowhere to go.
If they didn't find another house.
Exactly. You don't want the whole point of moving is to find the right next house. It's not to have a deadline in 1 month and then buy something you're kind of compromising on. You're like, well, we only got like 2 more weeks and we kind of like this one, so let's buy that one. So there's not a right answer. These are pros and cons.
And everyone's situation is different. We do have, clients that sell first, so they know what they're working with, and they don't have to put that condition in an offer.
Pros.
But they also have somewhere to stay. So they're like, oh, our dad has a basement apartment. Worst case, if we don't find something, we'll stay with him till we do.
And I would say too to that is transactionally speaking, meaning like if we don't have to worry about the homelessness scenario, which is what that is, or the challenges of buying for, like, the best thing that can happen in a transaction is you sell first, so you do know what you're working with and you don't have to worry about that condition. So on the buying side now, you're able to offer stronger offers, and you can, if you have somewhere to go, you can take all the time in the world you need to find the right next house, and you kind of like sold, got it done, now can go find the next one. Don't got to worry about getting bumped or losing the house you bought because you couldn't sell your house in time. And if you are selling your house and you have a deadline of 4 weeks because of the house you bought, you have to say that 4-week deadline. You might feel duress or pressure to get your house sold to buy this one. Otherwise, you might lose that house. So you might be more willing to like drop your price or be more motivated than you should be. So therefore, you got to know all this and be like, okay, well, in my scenario, I don't have anywhere to go. I'm okay buying first and understand that I might be in a weaker position, or that how it works and getting bumped and all that stuff, because I do want to find the right house and take my time and look and not have any pressure of selling first and then having to be out in 2 months, especially if you don't know where to go. So there's no like right answer. It just depends on your situation.
Well, and also another thing that some people do, which is very risky, but they will buy first in general, not making it conditional on their house sale.
Yeah, that's
so
risky.
Some people do that, which is risky because if they don't get what they need for their house after they've already purchased, that can just cause a huge problem.
Yeah, for financing.
So some people will do that where they do buy a property and only put conditions in for like home inspection or whatever, knowing they're going to sell their house later. And that's really risky.
It is very risky. People were doing it all the time during COVID.
Yeah.
Because the hardest thing back then was to buy first. So you do that first because selling was so easy.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like you don't even need a condition. And it's kind of crazy to look back at and think like how did you ever have clients who were like, don't worry about that condition, your house will sell just fine? I did all the time. Like there was no risk really, because as long as you already gone over the value and you're fine with it, and then we have this pricing strategy of pricing it here and getting a bidding war, you're going to sell. And that was like 2018 to 2022.
Right. Yeah, that was definitely a different time. So now, what I find most people are doing is getting their pre-approval, getting me over to their house to talk about the value and the marketing and all that, explain how it all works. We have their house pretty much ready to go, and our photographers and everything, like it's a quick turnaround time. Then we find a house, and then I can confidently say to the realtor when I bring them an offer, I've been to the house, we're pricing it right. I can have the photographer there like tomorrow or the next day. It'll be on the market in 2 days.
Yep.
And, when you're able to tell that whole story and make the listing agent feel comfortable and the seller feel comfortable, your odds are higher. So I've had people reach out to me and they want to jump the gun and start looking at places. They haven't talked to a mortgage agent. They don't know what their house is worth for sure. I haven't even seen the house. They're guessing what the house is worth. But really having your realtor over first to talk about this all, talk to your mortgage people, have them have your realtor look at your house. Those are that has to happen first.
Yeah.
And there are people that do jump the gun and it still works out. I'm dealing with one right now where we looked at a house first.
Yeah.
Because they weren't quite ready for me to be at their house. And we were just checking out houses and what they like. They end up offering on that house. So then I'm like racing over to their house, getting everything organized as quick as I possibly can. It was up on the market immediately. Fortunately, the numbers work, but that isn't always the case.
Yeah, it's risky,
because
right?
some people will reach out to me and say, we think our house is worth $700, so let's look at these $900,000 houses. We're approved based on that. Then I go to their house. I'm like, guys, your house is only worth $550. Like these $900,000 houses we are looking at, that like you can't really be looking in that range.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it could be. That's why it's so important to do your homework first and to have that all kind of sorted. My default with people is always to buy first, sell second, so that way, you're always taking your time on finding the right next house. Because that's the whole point of moving, is to move to the right house next and not buy under pressure or anything like that. But again, like you're saying, do your homework so that way, because I hate it when it's like, oh, there's this house here, we want to go see it, we love it, like, can we see it tonight? And it's like, yeah, but in my head there's like 10 things I need to check off that's in their best interest,
Right.
that I want to make sure before we just go do that. And it's like, okay, I need to talk to you for like 20 minutes to explain all that.
Yeah, because
Right.
people get excited, understandably. I can understand why they're like, let's go see it right now, we're available in an hour.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of steps that have to happen first. And yeah, if you are putting in an offer conditional on your house selling and other offers can still come in, that's always a risk. But fortunately, if you do get your offer accepted, it does slow down the listing.
Yeah.
So even though other people can still offer, it usually slows down the listing that you're offering on. So less people are likely to go look at it, because even though they can offer, they're like, I don't want to get involved and try and bump this first buyer and all that stuff. So yeah, it does slow down the listing, which is good for the buyer, because then they don't have to worry as much about someone bumping them. But people get bumped all the time. You know, if the seller gets an offer they're happier with and they bump out the first buyer, which is concerning for the buyer, because if the first buyer has their house on the market now, and especially if they only put their house up on the market for a particular house, then they're like, well, what now? Our house is literally on the market only to buy that house. Now we're getting bumped. Now we're taking our house off the market. And another thing to keep in mind that's important is, which could impact your sale, is that if you're putting in an offer conditional on your house selling, and then your house is on the market, any offers that come in on your house, if you have conditions on the house you're buying, need to also have a clause to protect you to firm up on your purchase. So, for example, if you have an offer on a house that's conditional on like the sale of your house and home inspection for 3 weeks, and then you get an accepted offer on your house right away, perfect, everything's moving along slowly. The offer on your house is conditional for 7 days. On the second day of your purchase, you get bumped. Someone takes that house from under you. And then your house that you own, they firm up. Now you've lost both and you're homeless.
Well, yeah, now you've sold your house and you have nowhere to go.
You sold your house, you have nowhere to go.
Yeah.
So you need to have that clause in the offer saying that it's the offer on your house that you own, that it's conditional on you firming up on your purchase. However, the buyer of your house might be like, no, we're not doing that. We're either buying this house or not. We don't want to wait to see if you get some other house. So sometimes they'll refuse to put that in there when you need that to protect you.
Yeah.
So It is nicer if you already have a house that you have an offer in on, because, typically the agent and the buyer of your property is like, okay, well, we just got to wait a few days to see if they're going to firm up on their purchase, right?
Yeah, exactly. So it can be very complicated.
Yeah. So hire a realtor that does this all the time.
Yeah. Sweet.